The first 3 seconds for the last 100 years, the seller talks. But we know from neuroscience, psychology, and every study on earth that the person talking is not in control. So what we all do as an industry is we call a person, interrupt, and talk. And that's the lowest status we can do. So I say your name and ask a question within 3 seconds, and you're talking. And that is baffling from a subconscious perspective. It's just a flipped
And it's
technique.
not the typical, reps are taught how to do BANT or MEDIC, right? That's the very first
Mhm.
thing that they teach them. And this is the framework that you have to follow, and this is what you have to do.
Yeah, so I started using that back in 2007 because I would call these executive directors. I was selling a SaaS, and I'd be like, "Oh, are you fundraising? What fundraiser are you using? Click. We already have someone. Go away." I couldn't get anyone. So I figured out the waterfall technique. I started calling the executive director of the nonprofit. I said, "Hey, Ed." I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Who heads up your fundraising?" It's like, "Marjorie does." So Marjorie had already hung up on me. I called her back, like, "Hey, I just talked to Ed. Give me your name." She's like, "Okay, what is it?" And then I was figuring this out. And then I came up with this interesting way of getting people to admit to pain. So I call someone and they say, "Hey, I use Blackbot." And I would say, "They're great. How's that working out for you?" Because I found that if you find the incumbent or the competitor and you ask, "What don't you like about them? What are the challenges?" They're like, "Oh, I actually have Blackbot socks and I just went to the conference." And they just dig their heels in and reject you. So I get them to tell me the problem by asking them something positive. I call that step ruin. And then most of what I sell, most of my clients have a multiplier because there's 91 solutions to stack. So they just say, "Hey, don't rip anything out. Just plug us in alongside what you have to multiply the effectiveness." So I have a 3-part series of pattern interrupts because what happens is, think about it this way: many people do permission based openers and they get meetings and they get business. So it has to work. So in the book, we call it a hybrid PBO. We call it a permission based opener that is high status. It's just harder because junior reps starting out, I was like, "Oh, could I get your time? Could I get 10 seconds?" And it's very like needy. But good reps, like, "Hey, can I get a minute?" And they're just like very matter of fact and they can use anything basically. So it really is tonality that matters.